I can't see my boyfriend in the same way after what he admitted to me. I'm 33 female, and my boyfriend, 34, have been together for over 12 years now. I first met him in high school, and we were friends for a few years. We lost touch after he graduated, but ended up reconnecting when I was in college. We've been together since. About 7 years ago, we were at a crossroads. His friend had passed away suddenly in an accident, and he proceeded to spiral. He started trying drugs, staying out all night, engaging in very reckless behavior, and it truly scared me. I tried everything to pull him out of it. It took a lot of work, and me almost leaving for him to start putting his life back together. A little backstory. I work for my family's business. I have worked for that business since I was 18 years old, and honestly, it would be great if I didn't have to work with the same people I see on the holidays. My family can be, in a word, toxic. There is a lot of infighting and drama. Working with them is similar to our personal lives, stressful and chaotic. When my grandmother passed away about 3 years ago, I was willed some liquid assets that had belonged to her and my grandfather, gems, jewelry, precious metals, cash, etc., and their house they had since the 60s. And honestly, this was a blessing. With that inheritance, I finally felt like I could pull free from my family and get out of the family business and take time to go back to school and do something I was passionate about. However, I had no savings at the time, and I wanted to get a decent amount saved before I quit. At this time, an opportunity opened up at work. The pay was way higher, but required 4 to 7 months of travel time a year. I talked it over with my boyfriend, and we decided that we only needed 2 years to save up what we needed. I took the job and prepared to leave for 2 months for training at the main branch. About a month into my training, my boyfriend suddenly quits his job with no explanation other than,
I had to. I can't work there anymore.
I was concerned about our financial goals because of this, but he swore up and down that he would get a new one shortly and that he wouldn't need any help with his personal bills. Well, a year went by and he had only taken up gig work and temporary jobs. I wasn't happy as I was having to travel all the time and I was having to be really frugal in order to get all our joint bills paid while also putting money into savings. He was managing to pay his own bills, so I let it slide since he tossed in what he could to the joint pile as well. Now, I'm sitting here about to complete my 2 years and my boyfriend has decided to come clean to me. For the past 2 years, while I have been working a job that has been soul-crushing and has had me away from home for weeks to months at a time, like I've missed birthdays, weddings, friends' baby showers, etc., I've sacrificed the last 2 years of my life to make enough to be able to live my life the way I want to. And he tells me last week that he has been paying his personal bills by selling the things my grandparents had willed me that I had left in a safe that was hidden in the house. A safe he only had access to because the hunting rifle is in there. And I thought, he wouldn't do that to me. I'm honestly in shock. It was a substantial amount and it makes me nauseous to even try to quantify it right now. I've already set in motion quitting my job and have given notice, and now I have so much less than I thought I did. He only told me because he had figured a way to pay me back and had gotten a stable job and was planning on using most of his paycheck to give to me until I was made whole. But this just honestly disgusts me. I feel so violated. More than that, I wonder if this is his go-to pattern now. Life is stressful, a lot of changes happening, and he just self-destructs? After what he put me through 7 years ago, I don't know if I can look past this. Yes, he came clean to me, but I just can't seem to get past this feeling. I look at him and just feel nothing right now. It's breaking my heart because I really care for him, and yet I just can't see anything changing. I feel so conflicted. We have been together so long and even have all the same friends and share a life together. Will we be able to come back from this? Or is this what falling out of love feels like? So it seems the boyfriend is practicing the religious doctrine of, instead of praying for a bicycle, steal a bicycle and pray for forgiveness. Now, there are some vague opinions in the comments. Some people are just not really sure which way they want to go about it. I think it's really left up to personal interpretation into what these opinions are trying trying to say. As another comment points out, this lack of feeling you're feeling is most likely because you're suddenly feeling disgust more than you are feeling love. Now, I'm trying to scour the controversial opinions to see if there's any sort of nuance here that we could maybe ponder, but it's rather unanimous that this man stole from you, and there was no guarantee until he's finally gotten the stable job that he was ever going to pay you back. And how long will that last? I mean, you're essentially just being locked into this relationship to ensure he actually pays you back. You are committed now to having to be by his side. Because, if you break up or want to move on from the relationship, he's obviously just going to stop paying back the money, isn't he? Like, well, babe, wake up. New coercive control tactic has been unlocked. Now, a lot of comments were saying things like calling the police because this is genuinely theft and even sue him. Like, this was technically not even just money. This was her property. Theoretically, you could argue he was using it to assist his druggy behavior. Did he at least put the money towards something for both of them? No, it was purely to pay off his own debts. But what makes this an extra stand-up gentleman is the way he admitted it. He decided to tell me on the phone while I was away for work. I just got home last night and saw the damages firsthand. I also gave my notice for work at the time, which involved getting into it with my family. So now I feel like I'm losing my family and my relationship. Well, with all that said, we don't hear anything for another 5 days when the OP comes back with an update. First, a quick thanks to everyone being surprised they had so many angry on OP's behalf. Hooray for the collective power of mutual spite. She goes on to explain why this is such a big deal for her. See, I have a very small circle of people. I would say the two most important people to me in the past 15 years have been my boyfriend and my little sister. They're the only two people I talk to nearly every day and do most of my everyday life with. A little over a year ago, I almost lost my little sister when she overdosed on prescription medicine and attempted to self-exit. I was the one who found her after the fact and spent the next 3 weeks by her side in the ICU. The whole ordeal could be its own post, really. Now, the person that had been my best friend for my whole life has me blocked in every aspect of her life for reasons I still do not know. And I still wonder if she blames me for leaving that night as much as I blame myself. In my grief, I lashed out at my toxic family for not listening to me when I said I was concerned about her, for not doing more, for not even being at the hospital when she needed them, for expecting me to be the one to tend to her while she was in rehab, and because I lashed out at them, I was ostracized. The only time my family talks to me now is if it has to do with work. My birthday came and went without a single one of them reaching out. It is why I was compelled to quit, as the silence and isolation was slowly driving me into a depression. During all of this, I have been clinging to my boyfriend. It would have been too difficult to go through without him, and I guess is the main reason why I didn't immediately kick him out when he came clean. I have lost my best friend and any support from my family. When I gave my notice, only one person asked me to reconsider, the rest said good riddance. And even if my family is toxic and awful to each other, it still hurts to be cast out so thoroughly. So when my boyfriend came clean to me, I just went numb. It felt like I lost what little fight I had left in me. It feels like the fabric of my life is coming unwoven and I am falling apart. I am still deeply mourning the loss of my sister in my life and grieving a family I have given up on. I have lost a lot in the past year, and this is just the last thing I thought I had to worry about. As many of you stated, it sounded like drugs. I didn't get him to divulge exactly what he was doing with the money, but I pieced enough together. Addiction has once again taken him. My boyfriend is a sweet, doting, and genuinely funny person, but 7 years ago, he also became someone I didn't know. His drug addiction was deep and unrelenting. It was a monumental uphill battle for him to get clean and stay sober. But I told him I would only stick it through with him once, and if he ever started back down that road, I would leave. So I guess he got smart about hiding it, and me being gone 6-ish months out of the year really helped him with that. I know some of you were very upset for me losing sentimental items, but my grandma's jewelry is all there. He sold my grandpa's collections of, let's say, precious metals. As my grandpa was a child of the Depression and never had faith in banks, he stored most of his assets as such. All his kids and grandkids were given portions of that. They weren't sentimental as much as a safety net I had every intention of using if needed. There was a comment that was a few paragraphs in the last post that kind of left me shaken. My denial was pointed out, but also the fact that I already knew what I needed to do, but I was looking for any way, any reason, any logic, something to not have to lose anything or anyone else right now. But I can't escape reality as much as I may try. Some of you asked how I could even contemplate staying. The easy answer? I was or am still scared. Scared to face this world alone. Terrified, really. I have told him we have no more future together, and we are working on how to best separate. It is amicable. I will not be reporting him or suing him. I have talked to his mom and dad about it, and they have told me I will be made whole one way or the other, and he has promised as such. I know a lot of you will be disappointed in that outcome, but I just have nothing left in me. I'm exhausted. I don't even have the energy to get angry right now. Maybe once I have time to process everything, that might change, but right now, I need peace. Thank you, kind internet strangers, for letting me feel less alone in this. Thank you for your anger on my behalf. Thank you for taking time to read my post and give me validity to my heartbreak. Now, a lot of comments weren't satisfied with this update, so it got OP to actually make this edit to, of all things, defend their boyfriend's honesty. I saw some comments regarding getting my money back. I realized I did not really detail this resolution. My condition for not getting the police involved was an immediate good faith effort at repayment. He is selling his car to meet that condition. His parents and I are in contact and have agreed to sit down and go over the exact numbers, but they have told me that one way or another, it will be made right. They are good people, and I believe this is a good step in the right direction. So, yay! I am all for giving people another chance to right their wrongs, but it feels like you already gave him that chance in the past, did you not? I don't know, what do you think? It seems like this is just another pattern of the OP giving the undeserved an olive branch. It makes observers think things like this that I notice a lot too, that people who grew up in toxic families often partner with completely toxic people. Either way, it's a hopeful ending, but not exactly a happy ending anyway. It's kind of funny though that there's a lot of people in the comments. Let me know what you think. Would you rather your boyfriend or your partner admit to this or cheating? Apparently people would prefer cheating. My boss collected money for flowers for me and then kept it for herself. Unfortunately, 7 weeks ago, my dear grandmother passed away at 91. A co-worker of mine told me our supervisor collected money from our team for flowers as condolences for her death, but no flowers were delivered from my supervisor and team to the funeral home. 2 weeks after the funeral, I found out a florist in town didn't deliver all their orders for my grandmother's funeral. I sent my supervisor a text explaining the flower mix-up we had experienced. In the text, I told her I was worried about not sending my gratitude to her and the team as I never got the flowers. Also, I wanted to make sure she and the team were not out the money because of the inept florist. I included my appreciation for her and the team thinking of me. My supervisor replied she didn't order any flowers for the funeral, telling me not to worry, and thankfully they were not lost. Instead, she was planning to send something else to my new husband and I as a condolence. Then she added a flippant, "Sorry, I haven't gotten there yet." Now, it has been 7 weeks since my grandmother's passing and 4 weeks since I sent the text about the flowers to my supervisor. My supervisor didn't follow through with sending my team's condolences for the death of my grandmother. My husband and I have not received anything from my supervisor or the team, but my boss still has their money, which is technically theft. Also, I'm feeling hurt by her lack of regard to my emotions about losing a very close loved one. My grandmother passed away 15 days after my wedding, which she couldn't attend due to the injury which led to her death. She was going to be the flower girl in our non-traditional ceremony, all of which I shared with my boss. It was a roller coaster of emotions in a short time frame. Now I'm uncertain of my course of action here. Should I go to HR? What should I say? My boss didn't take my money, but she did take my coworkers' money and didn't send their condolences. Do I tell HR I'm being treated unfairly as my boss didn't send me condolences like she has to others? She's made sure to send prompt bereavement gestures within 2 weeks for my coworkers with the family losses they've experienced in the past. It's not like it's required or expected for her or my coworkers to send condolences, though it is a considerate thing to do. I feel going to HR will make our already challenging relationship even worse, and she will be supported by them. HR will see it as a personal matter, and she was just forgetful. She may get a small slap on the wrist, but I will pay big as the employee that tattled on her. Our team is only 7 people, so she'll definitely know it was me. Do I ask her again about sending the flowers or gift? It already felt awkward when I contacted her before about the flowers, especially after her dismissive response. Also, I'm not certain how to approach it because it's a gesture of caring and other people's money that I'm asking her about. It just feels icky. Many people are telling me to just let it go, but others are saying she committed theft and to report her to HR. What do you think is the best way to handle the situation? On the surface, I feel like saying it's $25. It's not even like a monetary value that you actually get to use yourself. It's just a gift. But I think more importantly, it's the morality of it. I think Opie actually has a very strong case to go to HR about this. It isn't so much that you're not getting your cut of the jib, if that's even a saying, is that people know they gave money for this and you haven't received it and the boss has just pocketed the money. That's very damaging to your small workplace community. How can your boss instill trust and reliability and honesty among its peers? At least that's the political BS I'd spout to the HR department if I made this complaint. Thankfully though, we get an even better conclusion than merely going through the right channels. It's not until 10 months later we get an update on this. I talked to two of my most trustworthy coworkers, one being the person who told me she thought my supervisor was sending the flowers for my grandmother's funeral. I expressed to them I had not received any condolences from my boss on their behalf and expressed my gratitude for their contributions when my grandmother passed. So both asked me if I felt they should mention anything to our supervisor. I told them that was up to their own discretion. I stopped there and decided to not pursue anything with HR. I felt like it was more important to move on. At least I was able to say thank you to my closest colleagues. But then, before our first staff meeting of the 2023 new year, our team was chatting together about our upcoming plans. I said that my husband and I were going to Florida in a few weeks to see my parents. This included visiting with my grandfather, who at 90 decided to live in Florida with my parents after losing my grandmother. I had mentioned this new living situation to my supervisor and colleagues prior to this meeting. I kid you not. My supervisor, after I shared my upcoming plans, asks me, "How's your grandma doing in Florida?" Wait, what? Grandma? I quickly and rather coldly replied, "My grandmother has passed." My supervisor got bright red and tried her best to cover her tracks by saying, "Oh yeah, I meant your grandpa. I got confused for just a moment." I said nothing more. I didn't even acknowledge her clumsy attempts to correct herself. An uncomfortably long pause of weirdness loomed over the room for a while before conversation resumed. My most confidential coworker afterwards expressed to me how cringy it was to witness. My supervisor knew she had inconsiderately asked me about the well-being of a dead person. On top of that, she knew she was sitting on money collected to give the team's condolences for my grandmother's passing. But then, at the beginning of March, I received a text out of the blue from my supervisor stating in a very professional manner,
"I am so sorry. I just realized I have been remiss in sending a condolence gift from our team for your grandmother."
Included was a $25 gift card to Starbucks. I sent the following text of gratitude to the team's texting thread.
"Thank you everyone for the $25 gift card to Starbucks in memory of my grandmother passing in October. I appreciate the thoughtfulness."
Oh. My supervisor, only 5 months down the road, and after sticking her own foot in her mouth, did finally produce the gift. In the end, she made good on her responsibility and promised to our team to provide a gift on their behalf. However, not before embarrassing herself in front of her team and giving me the opportunity to point out her massive tardiness. Never have I read a more satisfying story in that regard. But here's an icing on the cake of investigation by some of the comments. People discussing how floral arrangements for a funeral would definitely cost more than $25, especially if it included delivery to the home. So if the boss isn't pocketing extra money, it could be possible that there weren't enough contributions for flowers in the first place, and so maybe the boss was trying to think of another plan of condolences and, time stole them away. But this is what gets people to think that that's why OP mentioned the $25, get it just to see exactly how much was actually given according to the co-workers. Because yeah, especially when it comes to a condolence gift, the idea of collecting money around the office and getting $25 is wild unless it's a two-person company. I mean, this is 6 people. Even if it was just $5, someone isn't chipping in. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my cousin and her mom after they accused me of indirectly stealing at her wedding? I'm in a tough spot and could really use some outside perspective on this situation. So my cousin Emma and I have never been particularly close, but we've always been civil. When she got engaged in December 2022, I sent her a thoughtful present, which she thanked me for repeatedly. Fast forward to February, and Emma invited me to her wedding in April 2024. Living abroad and starting a new job, I made it clear that I needed advance notice to attend, and thankfully, I managed to make it. Emma asked me to be part of her wedding entry, and despite our not being very close, I agreed, hoping it would help us build a better relationship. However, just a week before the wedding, I found out she's been talking negatively about me and my career as a project manager. It's stung, but I didn't want to cause drama before her big day, so I kept quiet. During the wedding weekend, I helped Emma get dressed for her Hindu ceremony, and her mom told me to leave the jewelry as she would handle it later. So I only packed away the bangles. The entry went smoothly, and I attended the reception without any complaints. However, after the wedding, I chose not to leave a gift, intending to address the hurtful comments privately after the festivities. But days later, Emma asked me about the missing jewelry, and I told her I hadn't touched it beyond what her mom instructed. Then later that day, I saw Emma posting on Facebook about missing jewelry and implying that someone in the family might have taken it. I felt uneasy, especially since her mom and I were the only family members helping her get dressed. Then things escalated when her sister made comments on the post saying, "We didn't like her anyway." Her mom reached out to me, asking about the bangles, which made me feel like they were singling me out. Even my grandmother called, further cementing that they may have discussed me as a suspect. Finally, another cousin messaged me saying the jewelry was found boxed up in a car, but Emma refuses to retract her accusations online because she's embarrassed. Feeling betrayed, I chose to cut Emma and her mom out of my life. I deleted them from my socials and blocked their numbers. Now my grandma is upset, saying I was unfair for not explaining myself. So Reddit, am I the jerk for cutting them off without explanation? Should I have handled the situation differently? Thanks for your insights. Now, just to share some other important information from the OP, adding to my post, I would like to add that Emma and I are first cousins. Jessica, who told me about the update, is a second cousin who is distant from Emma, so it sounds like this was being discussed with everyone but me. Thankful that Jessica heard it and decided to let me know immediately. So, okay, Emma hasn't retracted her blasphemy, but have they done anything, at least in private, to rectify this issue? Well, nope, no apologies from their end. All I've heard since was she's embarrassed to pull her posts and say she found it. This gets a lot of comments like, not the a-hole, but can we normalize shaming, please? You were accused publicly. Emma and other accusers did not apologize either publicly or privately. You should go no contact, but you really need to publicly address this nonsense. Otherwise, the story Emma and her mom tell is the only one others will know. There is nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. It is not more mature or grown up to say nothing. And just a few days later, OP, for the betterment of all of us, takes that opinion to heart. After consulting with an attorney friend and compiling all relevant evidence, including screenshots and messages, we took the step of sending a legal letter to my cousin. Additionally, I made a post on Facebook, tagging family members, family friends who attended the event, the priest who officiated, and even their neighbors. Yep, my petty butt went the extra mile to bring awareness of the situation.
Important announcement regarding Emma's wedding.
Hello, everyone in the Brown family. I hope this message finds you well. I feel compelled to address a matter that has been weighing on my mind since Emma's wedding last April. Firstly, I want to express my gratitude to Emma for inviting me to be a part of her special day. It was an honor to participate, and I was genuinely touched by the opportunity. However, recent events have left me deeply disheartened. It has come to my attention that there have been discussions, both prior to and following the wedding, where unkind remarks were made about me and my profession. While this was hurtful, I chose to handle the situation delicately and intended to discuss it with Emma after the wedding to gain clarity. Despite the hurtful comments, I remained committed to supporting Emma on her wedding day. I assisted her with changing outfits and took care of her belongings as requested. Regrettably, shortly after the wedding, I was unfairly implicated in the disappearance of some jewelry. Subsequent discussions with Emma revealed that there were private conversations insinuating my involvement, which left me feeling unfairly targeted. It was only through the disclosure from a third party that the truth about the jewelry's whereabouts emerged. I confronted Emma about these revelations, hoping for resolution and understanding. However, her response was dismissive, and she refused to acknowledge the hurtful nature of her actions. Instead, she chose to maintain hurtful social media posts, causing further distress. In light of these events, I have made the decision to distance myself from Emma and her immediate family. My conscience is clear, and I refuse to tolerate such unjust treatment. Furthermore, I want to assure you all that I am taking the necessary steps to clear my name. I am in contact with legal counsel to draft a letter and seek exoneration from these false accusations. I share this message not out of spite or animosity, but to set the record straight and reclaim my integrity. P.S. The missing jewelry was found by her mother in the car. For those interested in the details, I've compiled all relevant screenshots and supporting information in a Google Drive. Feel free to click the link to access it.
The end. Thank you everyone who supported, gave advice, and comforted me. Looking forward to going on my vacation tomorrow while Emma spends the next few days dealing with this. Edit, as of 8 a.m. the next day, Emma has still not rescinded those Facebook posts. Ah, yes, the irony of people like Emma. Those who are so willing to publicly smack-talk people but are unable to bring that same energy for apologizing online. Oh, because that would be embarrassing for them! Can you imagine the horror of that? Now, what's interesting is how OP also goes on about the strained relationship with the grandmother and inheritance, etc. So Emma is actually 4 years younger than OP. But OP has never been a fan of fighting for land or jewelry that grandmother owns. She's only really ever been interested in one of her saris and a pair of her earrings. She doesn't want anything too fancy or expensive, she just wants something to remember her by. Which makes people wonder that maybe this was all a setup to discredit OP so that Emma could have a stronger chance at getting that jewelry. But no doubt Emma's gonna go the newspaper route of apologizing for screwing up. As this comment says here, she'll make a huge headline about "my cousin stole my bracelets," and then when found out wrong, she'll quietly state on page 26 down in the corner in 10-point type, "I guess I was wrong."